Hi, welcome Free Spirit Beaters. This is Kristen Fagan here, the new episode, Free Spirit Beading. Happy Monday. Let's see, who's here? See, Pamela's here, welcome. I'm just waiting to see it pop up on YouTube here. Hi, Lydia. Oh, there we are. Hi, Sue and Janice. All you see is a black screen. Huh. Let me see. Hi, Gwen. No, it looks like the screen, it looks like the picture's here. So yeah, come back in, Lydia. Maybe it just didn't load properly for you the first time. All right. Thank you guys for being here. So today we are going to talk about Kumihimo, and specifically the square plate Kumihimo that makes a nice flat braid, which I love for bracelets. Hey, Suzanne. If you guys are on our Softflex Company Facebook channel, Sarah and I got together for a beading party and on Thursday, and we did this tutorial demonstration over there as well. Hi, Lydia. So I'm gonna kind of continue with that demonstration, show it to you guys again fresh, and I'm gonna finish a different colorway in the bracelet so you can see how they differ. So that was a lot of fun. If you guys are on Facebook, come join us at Softflex Company's Facebook page, and also join us in the Softflex Company VIB Studio Facebook group. And then we do videos over there once a week, twice a week. We also have some live sales, and Sarah and I have just started doing these beading parties where we get together and the two of us are on and we stream them live to Facebook. We've also been moving them here to the YouTube channel. So if you are not on Facebook, we do move them here to the YouTube channel. It just takes a few days more, up to a week maybe, before it actually hits over here on the YouTube channel. So let's talk about what's going on this week. Over at softflexcompany.com, we have two awesome BOGO deals going on until tomorrow night, Tuesday. Today is July 20th. So these deals are good until July 21st at midnight Pacific time. The first one is buy 2 mystery check glass bead strands. And this is just one example. I got this one in the mail of my mystery strand, but we've got all sorts of different strands up. And it's just a random pick. You buy 2, they're $4.99 each, and you get 1 free. You buy 4, you get 2 free. You buy 6, you get 3 free. Until we're sold, and while supplies last, or until it ends tomorrow. So we have a good amount of these strands. They're all really great quality, nice mix of check glass, and you'll see you can either do like a bead soup kind of design with this. It's 8 inches in length, so you can make a bracelet just straight with one of these strands, or you can pull out some of the beads and kind of sort them. If you get a few different strands, maybe you sort them differently and put them together in another way. Use little pieces of spacers, things like that, lots of fun, great ideas with that one. And the other deal we have is buy one of our Pantone quads of beading wire. this is the classic blue, and you will get the Kumihimo square plate for free. That's the classic blue quad, and then we also have this one, which is our spring summer quad. So you can buy the Pantone spring summer quad, get this free, or you can buy the Pantone classic blue quad and get this free. So both those deals going on right now, softflexcompany.com. They will come to you in a little package like this. There's 4 10-foot spools in each quad, 4 different colors of Softflex beading wire. So really, really nice, great way to build up your Softflex color library, and then also get a free Kumihimo plate with it. And you can have more. If you even have one of these plates already, it's good to have more of them, because you can have projects in process. You can have multiple ones with you. If you are like me, sometimes I enjoy the process of making, not always finishing right at the same time. So you can start a few projects, have them in the making portion, and then sit down and maybe finish a couple of them all at once, and do it that way instead of having to finish one before you start the next one. All right, anything else to share with you guys? Mark your calendars. Next Tuesday, July 28th, will be our next Softflex live bead sale over on the Softflex Facebook page. So mark your calendars for that. And this week we have a video from Sarah on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on the Softflex Facebook page. And then we do have a video from James going up on Thursday. That has been confirmed, and I'm excited to see a new video from James here on the YouTube channel on Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time is when that will premiere. All right, let's get started with this project. I have a lot of stuff on my desk today, so just bear with me as I get myself situated. So this is an example of what we'll be doing today. This is the one I made with the classic blue Pantone quad. I used all 4 colors of beading wire in this design, and then I used our check glass table cut beads that we have in the dark blue lapis color. And we're going to finish off this colorway today. So I have already did the whole example, and then I'm going to show you how to finish on this one. And then we have one we will start from scratch, so you guys can see how to get the whole thing started. So I'm going to be using Softflex beading wire in medium. I've got purple amethyst cut right now. I'm going to do all one color like I did here, but if you get a quad, you can definitely cut a little of each color and do something like this where you use all of the colors, or you can choose to just use one color. In addition, let's see, what else do I have here? I do have this beautiful bead strand. This was our Serenity Shore bead strand. If you guys remember, this one has sold out, but we are going to be revealing this kit next week, and it matched this really, really well. So I might use some beads from there on the bracelet, or I pulled out a couple of Jessie Jane beads from my stash, just random stuff that we may use also. I haven't decided yet. Maybe you guys will help me with that. For the Kumihimo, we'll need the Kumihimo plate. I'm going to be using the table cut beads. This is the blue topaz color. We have these beads in 4 different colors. So this is the blue topaz. This one was the dark blue lapis that I used here. This one was the turquoise color, which we have the least amount of this one left. So if you like this color, I would grab this. We have under 10 strands of that particular color left. And then lastly, we have a really pretty dusty purple color. This is what a full strand looks like. It's the only one I have left that's totally in the full strand. I believe there's 23 beads you get on here, and I used all of them in this design, and I used all of them plus a few extra because I had a little more than a strand in this design. So I'm going to use the purple beading wire, which is in our spring and summer quad, which also comes with tanzanite, purple, green turquoise, and bone. I use the bone color in this one. I have a bead stopper here. This is the larger regular size bead stopper, and this one works perfectly because there's 10 open springs, and we're going to be using 10 strands of beading wire. So you will need a pair of jewelry cutters, of beading wire cutters. I'm using the Italian flush cutter. You're also going to need a pair of crimping pliers. I have the magical crimping pliers for the 2x2 size of crimps. And you'll need a pair of mighty crimping pliers for the 3x3 size of crimps. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm adding 1 strand to each of these springs. You want all of your beading wire strands to be on their own individual little spring if possible, because if they're doubled up or tripled up in here, they're going to slide out a little more easily when you tug on this particular beading wire. All right, so Pamela is asking the size of the bracelet. This bracelet fits me perfectly, and this is a 7-inch size bracelet. So that is what I'm aiming to get to, is 7 inches. For this particular strand, I have from this crimp, from this 3mm crimp all the way to this 3mm crimp, is a little over 5.5 inches of woven Kumihimo. And then I have a bead, and then I have my next crimp, and then I have my clasp. Same on this side, bead, crimp, and then I have my little loop and thing. So 5.5 inches of woven Kumihimo was ideal for this particular design. And then we've got the crimps and the beads and the clasp at the end for a total of 7 inches. So let's talk about this design. I did this example working from just a 10-foot spool. I wanted to see if I could create enough braided Kumihimo from just a 10-foot spool. And it came out a little bit shorter for me. So this one, crimp to crimp, if I go from crimp to crimp, it's just about 5 inches. So I'm gonna need to just add a couple more beads between my crimp on this side probably. I don't have a whole lot of space over here to make this work, and that's what I'm gonna be working with today. So I did that because ideally I cut 10 strands 14 inches a strand. So if you add all that up, that's going to be more than a 10-foot spool. If you're using multiple colors, like I did here, even just 2 colors instead of 1 color, I suggest cutting 14 inches. It just gives you a little bit more braiding up capacity. It gives you a little bit more freedom when you're doing your braid, especially as you get close to the end, because you do need a decent amount to kind of fit into these notches here. But I wanted to test this out with just using a 10-foot, so I cut 10 12-inch strands, and I was able to make it work. It came out like this, just a little bit shorter, and I'm gonna fill in the space with some beads. So again, if you only have a 10-foot, you wanna use 1 color, go ahead and cut yourself 10 12-inch strands. But if you have more wire or you're using multiple colors, I suggest going to 14-inch strands just to have a little more wiggle room. It's a little more comfortable, and it will make sure that you can get a little longer of a braid if you want to. All right. Lee says it looks pretty with the beads on the end. Yeah, I love the beads on the end. So this is the design I did previously. I have a video showing this one, which is the same technique, same design, just uses smaller little cube beads. And I normally just do this, where I do a double crimp. I do the big crimp and the little crimp on the back. And you can cover the big crimps with a crimp cover if you wanted to. You would use a 4mm crimp cover. But that's how I've done it in the past. And when we were on the video last week, I just had like an aha moment of how it would be nice to add a bead in between, and I think it just makes it so much nicer. It covers up the little ends of your wire over here so that it's just a little more comfortable, and I think it really finishes it out a bit. So you can do it either way, but that was a really nice little aha thing that happened. So I cut purple. I cut 10 12-inch strands to show this little demonstration today. I have each of the 10 strands on this bead stopper. I've got about 1 inch of wire here, give or take. This one's a little bit longer, but about 1 inch or so space here left over so I can attach my clasp. You're gonna place your bead stopper down the center, and we're gonna set up our board. So if you're using all 1 color, it doesn't matter where they all go. And you're gonna put them on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I am missing a strand. Let's see where it went. Maybe I only cut 9. I need 1 more for 17. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I gotta cut 1 more. Let's see here. So I will probably pull these all off just so I can figure out which spring to put that one in. Oh, if I look here, it looks like I just have 1 opening on the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my last string and slide it into that end spot. And then I like to make sure I push my wires back a little. You don't have to go all the way back to the end, but by pushing them a little further back in the spring, they're more likely to be caught on there. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our board again. Three. And I'm just trying to pick up a strand that is close enough to the number. It doesn't really matter if it crisscrosses though. And there we go. So this is our setup. You have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And this is a very nice, lightweight, flexible board. The have notches all around the edges, so you just slide your beading wire into the notches, holds it really steady and comfortable. If you have a Kumihimo weight, I do suggest clamping it to the bottom here. And then someone also in my last video suggested you could do like a bag of pennies or just something to kind of hold this down. I did have a Kumihimo weight and I accidentally spilt glue all over it, so I don't have one at the moment, but I do feel like it helps with your tension to have that weight clamped on and pulling on the bottom. So for now, I'll just I'll tend to hold the back a little bit as I'm braiding, so that I'm pulling down on my wires, and I'm also going to tug on my wires as I'm braiding to tighten it up. This is all one color. If you wanted to do 2 colors, I would suggest cutting 5 of each color, 5 strands of each color, and then doing the left hand 3, 4, 5, 14, 15 in one color, and 6, 7, 8, 16, 17 in the other color. Lee, we do not sell the weights. So I had picked mine up at the Tucson show a couple of years ago. And I'll have to find somewhere else to get it, my weight now, because we don't have them here. So if you're going to do 2 colors, you would do the left side in one color, the right side in another color. And then if you were going to do 4 colors, like I did here, what I would do then is pick on one color to be your main color and cut 4 strands of that color and put them down here. And then do the other 3 colors, do 2 strands of each and just place them up here. And they don't have to be in any particular order. I would just put the ones that are 4 down here. Lydia says, I think Hobby Lobby sells the weights. Yeah, they probably do. I haven't been in there in a while, but so I don't know what local, little stores might carry them. I'm sure there's some bead stores. I think I got mine from Bead and Adorn, which is actually a local bead store that's located in Tucson, and they do have a booth at the Tucson show. I think they specialize in Kumihimo stuff. So Bead and Adorn is in Tucson, and I know for sure that they have them. You could probably order online, I'm assuming. So let's get started with our braiding pattern. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna braid about 5 braids without any beads on them at all. So we're gonna start with number 5 and move it over to little e, and number 6, we're gonna put on our capital E. And now I'm gonna work from the right side of the plate, and then I'll work from the left side of the plate. So from the right side, we're gonna pick up number 16, go to 6, pick up 7 to 16, pick up 17, go to 7, 8 to 17, and then I'm going to take my lowercase e and bring that to 8. So now I did the 1/2 of the braid, that's the right side. Now I'm going to move to the left side, and I'm going to pick up 15 to 5, 4 to 15, 14 to 4, and 3 to 14. And then I'll take the capital E back to 3. And so I had one complete braid, and I'm back to where I started with all of my numbers. And now I'm just going to do that again. 5 to little e, 6 to capital E. And I'm going to create 17 down. Create about 5 braids, 4 or 5 braids. I play with this number. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. Well, there's another one. That's 5 to little e, 6 to capital E. And then you do the same thing again, 16 to 6, 17 to 16. I'm 7 to 16, sorry. 17 to 7, 8 to 17, and then you bring little e home to 8, 15 to 5, 4 to 15, 14 to 4, 3 to 14, capital E back to 3. So now I've done a total of 3 braids. And I'm going to do 2 more. And then we'll add our first bead. And this is what it should look like. Let's see if I can get anything. It's still kind of early on there. So you just see a little bit of that braiding started. You know what, I think I'll actually stop at 4. I think I'll do 4, and then we'll add our beads. Becky says, I love doing Kumihimo. It's one of the easiest things for me to do with dexterity problems in my left hand. Yeah, I mean, if you're, it really is, you only need one hand to kind of keep going back and forth. So it is a nice, and it's very calming. It's a very calming thing to do. Let's see, what beads should I put in the center? I think I'll go with this color since I have the most of it right now. This was the blue topaz check glass table cut beads. And they come with 23. If you want to save a bead for each side of the strand, just put 2 aside so that you don't use them while you're braiding. So to add the beads, we're going to pick up number 5, and instead of moving it to E like we've been doing, we're actually going to string on a bead from left to right, like that. So my wire is going from the left to the right. And then we're going to pick up number 6, and we are going to string it the opposite direction from the right to the left. And whatever beads you decide to choose, you do have to make sure you can get 2 strands of wire through them. Most of these have been fine that I've tried so far. Check glass is usually very good about having consistent bead size holes. let's see, just sort of making it through. So if you can get a little peek out, then you can grab a pair of pliers and just grab a hold of that wire to really pull it through. And once you've got it through both sides, you're just gonna pull both tails and get that bead down into your center. And I want, for this design, I want my bead to be laying flat up towards me, just like this. So I've got the flat side facing up. I've got it, you're seeing the bead from the side. And then I just fiddle with it, make sure it's in the center, especially for my first one. There we go. Make sure my bead is centered in my braid and facing flat up. And then you're gonna take the wire that's coming out the right side and put it in the little e, the wire that's coming out the left side in the capital E. And now you'll just continue your braid like we were doing before. So 16 to 6, 7 to 16, 17 to 7, 8 to 17, and little e comes home to 8. And then on the left side, we'll do 15 to 5, 14 to 15, 4 to 15, 14 to 4, 3 down to 14, and capital E back to 3. And now I'm gonna do the same thing and add another bead in again. So pick up 5, slide in one direction, pick up 6, slide in the other direction. And that one was a little bit easier. Pull it down. So I'm pulling my bead down and I want it to sit again facing flat top. Flat top up like that. And I'm gonna fiddle with it till they're sort of on top of each other, nice and straight, and then just tuck in these wires to the side. And then I'll continue again. So back to my braid. Same thing. Until I come back to my beginning pattern, and then I'm gonna pick up another bead. And maybe if you find one that gives you a little hard time, put that one aside for your end piece. Yeah, this one went in very easily. So usually they go in pretty easily. You see how that is just laying on top of the other one. And then what I'll do, since this is sort of popping up a little bit, just kind of tug it down so it fits a little more flush with this opening. And then you can even, at this point, tug some of these wires down if they've gotten loose to help your tension. Again, if you have a weight on the bottom, it's going to help keep this a little bit more taut. And now you'll see down here, let's get these wires out of the way, what it's starting to look like. So say I was done at this point, say I was ready to call this the end here. You could come back to doing some braiding without any beads in it. But I found with these larger beads, it actually is easier to just create a little, like kind of gather them together instead of doing the braiding on this side or this side. So what I'll show you what that looks like. So if I was done here, I would just pop off the wires. And gather them together like so. And you would put your large 3mm crimp tube on each end to secure it. Oh, Susie, it is easy. You can totally do it. I've done it a few times now. So as you know, practice makes you a little bit quicker. And as with most Kumihimo or braiding projects, or even knitting projects too, your tension plays a big role. And so that kind of comes with a little bit of practice and just paying attention to if you're doing a loose tension, keep it loose, or if you're doing a tight tension, keep it tight so it's consistent throughout. So you would get all those strands inside that 3x3mm crimp tube. And you would use your mighty crimper to crimp. And then this side's kind of interesting because we did do some braiding in the beginning. And you kind of have to, I've tried to start it without the braiding at all, and it just doesn't sit as well. I feel like the little bit of braiding in the beginning gets you kind of in place. So let me take these all off my bead stopper. But if you want to keep it consistent as what you did on the other side, you would just undo your braiding. Just let your braiding unravel, and then you could put your crimp on each side, and now you've got something consistent. So even though we do spend a little time braiding in the beginning, it really just helps to kind of get your beads centered. And you can let it unravel when you're adding your crimp on the end. And I found that I liked that better when I was using these larger beads. This side has all wires, all different size lengths here. So you just got to get them all in that crimp tube. Everybody in. And then you just pull it down close. And that's how you would finish off your two ends. So as I was saying, with the larger beads, I do like it kind of just gathered there. And I was even playing with the idea of flipping around the bead on the one end, so it kind of fills in that space. You could leave it that way, or you could flip it. But when I did use smaller beads like this one, I did go ahead and leave the braiding. So if you're using smaller beads, maybe you want a little more braiding in the beginning and the end. like I have here and here. But I found when I used the larger beads, I could braid it well on one side, but I could never get the other side, the side I was taking it off of, the side that was pulling off the Kumihimo. I couldn't get that braid to look quite as nice. And so this was my solution, to have it just sort of gathered at the ends instead. So once you have your mighty crimp on there, you're going to use your mighty crimping pliers. And these look just like regular crimping pliers, although they do have bigger notches for this larger size crimp to fit in. So you would just place your crimp in the back notch first, squeeze it. That's going to create a nice divot. It's going to gather all your wires. And then you turn this 90 degrees and put it in the top notch. And I have that divot facing, let's see if we can get a good shot of it, facing out. So the little crease is right there and it's facing out. So let me do this. There you go. You can see the crease. And then place it in that notch in the front and squeeze it. You can even go around in that top rounder a couple of times. Squeeze it. So now you've got all these wires sticking out of your crimp tube, and what you're going to do is I'm going to choose the longest wire because that'll be the easiest one to work with, and I'm going to cut away all the others. I'm actually going to do this on our example here so we can finish that one. I'm going to put this demonstration one aside. So we'll pick up this one, and same thing, I've already done the large crimp on both sides, and I'm just going to cut away all of these pieces except for one. And I usually go through and try and get rid of any of them that are kind of bendy or not so nice, so that the one I have left over is a nice clean strand. I do this one at a time so that I don't accidentally cut the wrong strands, and I can get as close to this crimp tube as possible. So I'm using a pair of flush cutters, which means it has one side that's flat, and I'm using that flat side. That flat side, they are going straight down towards the crimp, so I can get as close as possible. And then you're just left with one strand, which is like you're used to with a clasp or something on the end. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. If you're using, I used 12-inch strands because I was trying to work with just one 10-foot spool of wire. But like I said, I really suggest you going up to 14 inches a strand just to give yourself a little extra wiggle room if possible. And I only left an inch here on this side. This was the side we started with. This is the one that was clipped to the bead stopper originally. If you're using a little more wire, if you're working with 14 inches, I would leave another inch on this side. So have 2 inches over here. And again, it just gives you a little more wiggle room. If you wanted to add beads on each side after you braided, you would have enough space. Okay, so now I just have one strand on each side. And what if I just picked up that guy, and I don't have a ton of room left. So in this case, I have to use a pretty small bead on this side. I think I'll go ahead and cut my Serenity shore strand. And there are some little guys in here. Oh, wrong side. So there's like that little guy. Maybe I'll just use those two on this side, and I'll do something kind of bigger over here. So now I'm going to grab a 2x2 crimp tube, soft flex 2mm by 2mm crimp tube, and place that in here. I'm going to grab a little lobster clasp, place that over here, and then I'll probably have to use a pair of pliers. Let me come in a little closer. So because this is such a short strand of beading wire, I'm going to grab a pair of chain nose pliers and use that to help guide me into this crimp tube. And I do this a lot to myself, where I don't leave myself enough space and I have to do something like this. It's so much easier to have more wire. Oh, I think I got it. Okay, see, there's a tiny little piece pocket coming out down here. I'm gonna try and grab it. If I can get it, there we go, and just give it a little more tug. Okay, so I made it work. And now I'm gonna use my magical crimping pliers to crimp this 2x2 crimp tube, and place it in that notch right in the center. Let it crimp the four sides, and then turn it and crimp again. And I've got this side complete. And let's see what size this brings me to. So this brings me to a 6-inch bracelet at this point, without adding anything on this side yet. Now I need to figure out, what do I want to put on the other side? I was originally thinking this big guy was fun. but I don't know if he's just a little too big. I could try this one. That one's cute. Now I know I'm gonna wanna add this one and this one from the strand that I put on this side here. Lydia says I was holding my breath to help you get that wire through the crimp. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's good for me to do things like that and show you what I do when I get myself in a little pinch, when I have a lot less wire than I would normally like. It can be a little stressful, can it? I like these beads a lot too. So my goal is to get my bracelet up to 7 inches. I need a little bit more. And this is going to be a little bit of an asymmetrical design because I'm not doing the exact same thing on either side. I'm playing with the fact that I have a little more space on this side. I think that'll be cute. What do you guys think? What do you think of this guy? Should I take him off? I'm not sure I love it. Yeah, I like that. So now I'm going to take another 2x2 crimp tube, and you can create a loop at the one end with soft flex wire, or you can put a split ring or a closed jump ring. And I'm probably gonna do that because when it comes to bracelets, I just feel like I need that little wiggly thing at the end to get it on nicely for myself. When it comes to necklaces, I usually just leave the soft flex. So I just put my wire through my split ring. A split ring looks kind of like a key ring. It's a little more secure, or you can use a closed jump ring that doesn't have an opening. Pull that down till I get a nice loop. You want your jump ring to be able to float around. You don't want it to be too tight. And then place that crimp in there again. After you're crimped, you just trim off that excess wire. You can use regular crimping pliers. I love the magical crimpers, as you guys know. I find them very easy to use, and they make a nice little round bead at the end. And there we have it. So a cute little asymmetrical design. And it became asymmetrical because when you're working with that 12-inch length to try and get it all out of one 10-foot spool, you're gonna end up with a little bit shorter of a design. And the reason why I have this side shorter than this side is because this is the side that was in my bead stopper. That was about an inch I had left, and it was a pretty short little spot. This side is the side that goes on your Kumihimo plate, and you need it to be longer because you have to be able to kind of fit them and go into the notches. So if I would have made this side longer and I was only using the 12 inches of each strand, I would have ran out of space to be able to complete my braid. So that was why this happened the way it did. If you want it to be symmetrical and you want to make sure you definitely have enough wire on each side to keep it even, like I said, I would go up to 14 inches on each strand, and I would leave 2 inches in the beginning by your bead stopper instead of 1 inch, so that you have a little more to work with on each side. So pretty though. I actually really love how it turned out to be asymmetrical like that. I think it's really fun. The Serenity Shore bead strand matched these table cut turquoise beads perfectly. So even though we're out of this strand, if you picked it up and you have them already, I would suggest grabbing some of these because they go really, really well. We only had about 9 of these turquoise color strands left when I looked. So it was definitely the color that's gonna probably go out of stock the first. And then we've also got this dark blue color, the blue topaz, and the purple still in stock. And these are all little half strands at this point because I've been working with them. You get about 23 beads, and this was a full strand that I used here in this design. So cute. So I hope you guys liked that tutorial today. I do have in Free Spirit Beading or in the Kumihimo playlist, I do have the tutorial for this design as well. This was the 2-color with the smaller beads. So you can watch that one if you wanted to check that out. And I also had this design in the Kumihimo section too, where the beads are along the outside instead of on the inside. And this one used the Mermaid Trios colors in there. So a couple different other options. These are all done with the square. So all of these are done with the square Kumihimo plate, and they make that nice flat braid. Just for a comparison, this one was done with the round Kumihimo plate. So you'll see how that creates like a round cord instead of a flat braid. And I do have a video for this one as well in the Kumihimo playlist. But right now the deal is buy a quad and you'll get the Kumihimo square plate for free up until tomorrow. And the 2 quad colors we've currently got are the Spring Pantone quad, which has the purple, tanzanite, green turquoise, and bone, or the Pantone Classic Blue quad, which has the tanzanite, dark blue lapis, blue topaz, and white. By either of those, you get the square Kumihimo plate free. And of course, we also still have buy 2 get 1 on all of these mystery check glass bead strands. You can find them at softflexcompany.com. you buy 2, you get 1, you buy 3, you buy 4, you get 2, you buy 6, you get 3. So really great deal, fun to mix and match. They're all random. They're all really nicely put together in a nice colorway, but they're gonna be completely random. So it's fun to get a couple of them, see what you have there. Yeah, thanks for being here with me today. I will see you here again next Monday at noon. Sarah will be at the Softflex Facebook page at 1 p.m. this Wednesday for a new video. James will be here on the YouTube channel for a premiere at 2 p.m. Pacific time for one of his new videos. Becky says, I have seen a pic where someone did a round braid and put both ends in one end cap, added a larger hole bead and tassel dangle, and I've been trying to figure out how to do that. Yeah, you can definitely do the Kumihimo round braid when you're using Softflex beading wire, which is what we generally use here. It's going to be a pretty small braid when you're just using the wire. So you can use a tiny end cap, or like on this case, I just did some wire wrapping on the end. I do have a necklace video in the Kumihimo where I used Softflex wire and some tiny pearls, and I finished it off with end caps and then just crimped the end. I know it's not exactly what you're thinking, but maybe watching that you can see how I finished it and instead add a tassel and do the design in the way you were thinking. Hopefully that helps. I know there's lots of tutorials out there for Kumihimo, so I can't think of any other one that we might have that would be close enough to what you're talking about, except for that pearl necklace. It's got a pendant, it's got a large pendant, and it's a Kumihimo round made with pearls, and you just find it in our Kumihimo playlist here on YouTube channel, and that might help. That may be something that is close to what you're thinking about. Yeah. Next live bead sale is next Tuesday. Mark your calendar, 1 p.m. Pacific time, and it'll probably be open until Thursday. That's generally what we do. So those are always a lot of fun. They're on the Softflex Company Facebook page. You just bid while you're watching the show, or if you watch it later, you bid on the items you want. It takes a few days for us to gather up all of the bids, and then we let you know if you won any of your bids, and then we send you an invoice from PayPal and ship out your beads. So it's always a lot of fun. There's always interesting things on there, stuff that's a little more one of a kind that we can't get onto the website, things that are in our gallery. So yeah, come check us out for that sale next week, and I'll see you next Monday. Have a lovely week, everyone. Thanks for being here with me, and I hope you'll try some Kumihimo in the future. If you do, share it in our VIB group with a picture, because we all love to see what you guys are working on, and if you use any of these tutorials to create your own designs. Thanks so much. Bye.